I'm a 29-year-old man who grew up in a small, modest town where frugality was a way of life. My parents taught me the value of financial stability out of necessity, not luxury. Weekends weren't about lavish outings. They were about fishing trips with dad or family movie nights. Those values stuck with me. After college, I worked hard to save steadily, piece by piece, building a modest savings account. I wanted a strong financial foundation to avoid the burden of debt. 4 years ago, I met Rachel at a friend's birthday party. She was vibrant, charming, and had an energy that could light up a room. Her upbringing was the polar opposite of mine. Rachel came from a wealthy family that thought nothing of indulging in luxuries. I admired her spirited nature and assumed our differences would complement each other. Her openness might teach me to enjoy life more, and my practicality could keep us grounded. Fast forward to our engagement, and I quickly realized how wrong I was. Wedding planning began with excitement. Pinterest boards, spreadsheets, venue tours. But when we started discussing the budget, things took a troubling turn. Rachel had a clear vision, a grand, fairy tale wedding. The venues she showed me were stunning but came with exorbitant price tags. When I suggested alternatives, perhaps a backyard wedding or a smaller, more affordable venue, she dismissed me outright. "This is my dream wedding," she insisted. "Don't you want it to be magical?" I explained that while I wanted a memorable day, I also cared about our future. I wanted to save for a house, travel, and the life we'd build together. But she wasn't interested in compromise. "You don't get it," she said with a frustrated shake of her head. "This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment." Her expectations escalated quickly. She wanted a grand entrance, a live band instead of a DJ, and a guest list nearing 200 people. The cost of everything kept adding up. Then Rachel showed me a picture of an engagement ring she really loved from a high-end jeweler. I hadn't even finished paying for the ring I'd already given her, a ring I'd carefully chosen after months of saving. She dismissed it as nice but not impressive. Her comments stung. "If you loved me, you'd understand." It wasn't just the ring. She wanted her bridesmaids to wear designer dresses, each costing around $500, and expected them to pay for them. When her best friend Sarah expressed concerns about the cost, Rachel brushed it off. "They can take a loan or figure something out," she said coldly. "This is my special day." Then came the bachelorette party, a destination weekend in Cabo. She booked it without consulting her bridesmaids, assuming they'd be thrilled. When a few friends said it was beyond their budget, Rachel called them unsupportive and ungrateful. I tried reasoning with her, but she snapped, "You'll never understand." As if that wasn't enough, she hired an expensive wedding planner without telling me, claiming she was too busy to handle the stress. I was working extra shifts and freelancing to build our wedding fund, but instead of appreciating my efforts, she saw it as an excuse to push for more. Her demands were endless. Monthly spa treatments, a personal trainer, and luxury skincare, all's necessary for the wedding. When I hesitated to cover these costs, she accused me of not wanting her to look her best on her big day. Even our honeymoon became a point of contention. I suggested a cozy cabin in the mountains or a beach closer to home. She laughed. "A honeymoon is supposed to be exotic," she said. "You want it to be boring?" The final straw came when Rachel involved my family. She confided in my sister, Becca, who then pressured me to give in. "Rachel's just trying to make it special," Becca said. "You can't be cheap about this." It felt like no one saw how much I was sacrificing to make this work. One evening, I came home to find Rachel flipping through catalogs of luxury household items, designer appliances, expensive decor, even vacation packages, all of which she'd added to our wedding registry without consulting me. It was clear her vision of our future didn't align with mine. In that moment, I knew I couldn't do this anymore. I ended the engagement. I'd always imagined marriage as a partnership, built on love, respect, and mutual support. But with Rachel, it felt like I was funding a fantasy, not building a future. Walking away wasn't easy, but it was necessary. My values matter, and so does the kind of life I want to build. As I stood there staring at the wedding registry Rachel had created, a wave of disbelief washed over me. "Are you serious?" I asked, holding up the list. She barely looked up from her phone. "People can buy what they think we're worth," she said nonchalantly. "If they can't afford it, they don't have to get anything." Her casual indifference stunned me. "Rachel, this is beyond excessive. Your friends and family are going to feel uncomfortable even looking at this list." She shrugged, her expression unfazed. "Then they're not really my friends, are they?" It wasn't just the words, it was her tone, her complete lack of concern for others. I tried to keep my composure, but I felt my patience unraveling. I wasn't her fiancé anymore. I was her financier, bankrolling her fantasies. Whenever I voiced discomfort, she either laughed it off or made me feel like I was failing her. But then came the bombshell. One evening, Rachel sat me down, her demeanor unusually serious. I talked to my parents about financing part of the wedding, she began. Relief started to creep in, maybe they'd help lighten the load. But what she said next floored me. They think you should take out a loan. A loan? I repeated, disbelief dripping from my voice. Rachel, are you hearing yourself? Yes, a loan, she said as casually as if she were suggesting I grab some milk on my way home. This wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and we're already too deep to scale back now. My parents agree it's worth going all out. We'll pay it back over time. I stared at her, stunned. Rachel, I'm not taking out a loan to pay for a wedding. I just won't. Her expression darkened. So, you're just going to let me down like this? After everything I've put into planning? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Let you down? Rachel, I've been working overtime, picking up freelance projects, and doing everything I can to pay for this wedding, and now you want me to take out a loan on top of that? For one day? Yes. For one day, she snapped, her voice rising. This is supposed to be our day. I'm the bride. This is my dream wedding. Can't you see how much this means to me? Do you even care? Her words cut deep. Rachel, of course I care about you. But I'm not willing to go into debt for something we don't need. We could have a beautiful, meaningful wedding without throwing money around like it's endless. She crossed her arms, glaring at me with an icy intensity. You know what? Maybe you're not the person I thought you were. Maybe I need someone who's willing to go the extra mile for me, someone who actually values what I want. A heavy silence fell between us. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So, you're saying you'd leave me if I don't go into debt for this wedding? If that's what it takes to make you understand how much this means to me, she said coldly, then maybe yes. It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. Everything we'd built over the past 4 years seemed to crumble in an instant. For a moment, I sat there in stunned silence, trying to process her words. Then, as painful as it was, a strange clarity settled over me. This wasn't just about the wedding. It was about the life we'd have together. If Rachel was willing to manipulate and threaten me over this, what would happen in the future? What if I lost my job or we faced financial hardships? Would she walk away then too? I took a deep breath and looked her in the eyes. Rachel, I said quietly, if having your dream wedding is more important to you than our relationship, then maybe you're right. Maybe we're not meant to be together. Her face twisted in shock. Are you serious? She asked, her voice trembling. Yeah, I said, my voice steady despite the weight of my words. I can't be with someone who values material things more than a life together. You want this wedding to impress your friends and family, but it's not about us anymore. I don't want to start our marriage in debt, and I shouldn't have to fight you on that. Rachel stood up abruptly, her face a mix of anger and disbelief. Fine, she spat, storming out of the room and slamming the door behind her. For the next few days we barely spoke. My sister Becca called, urging me to apologize, saying I was being stubborn. She didn't understand. None of them did. They couldn't see that I wasn't just standing up for myself. I was standing up for the life I wanted to build. A week later, Rachel sent me a message saying she was moving out. There was no discussion, no reconciliation. In her mind, I had let her down, and she had no intention of compromising. The breakup felt surreal at first. I kept expecting her to call, to say she'd realized what truly mattered. But those calls never came. Instead, I heard through mutual friends that she was bad-mouthing me, painting me as the cheap fiancé who wouldn't invest in his future wife. It hurt, but as the days turned into weeks, I began to feel something else. Relief. I didn't have to worry about a mountain of debt or selling my future to make her happy for one day. When I ran into Sarah, one of Rachel's bridesmaids, she confided in me. Honestly, she said, most of us are relieved. None of us could afford what she wanted. She made us feel guilty for not going into debt, and it was exhausting. You probably saved yourself a lifetime of that. Looking back, I know I dodged a bullet. Love shouldn't come with price tags or ultimatums. Love is about support, partnership, and building a life together, not throwing money at superficial things. I'll always have a soft spot for the woman I thought Rachel was. But the person she became was someone I could never build a life with. It hurt to lose her, but in the end, I'm grateful I stood my ground, because at least now I still have myself. Subject: ethical concerns regarding Liam Davis. To whom it may concern. I am reaching out to bring to your attention serious ethical concerns regarding Liam Davis, the owner of the yoga studio in which you have invested. Through my recent investigations, I have uncovered evidence of unethical behavior, including extramarital affairs with married individuals and potential financial misconduct within his business operations. Attached, you will find detailed evidence, including text messages and financial receipts, that may be pertinent to the integrity and future of your investment. I believe it is important that you have access to this information to make informed decisions moving forward. It is my hope that addressing these issues promptly will mitigate further damage to the studio's reputation and the trust of its patrons and investors. Best regards, a concerned party.